So quick general rule, guys. Normally in these mountains, in this area, if you see an open gate, you leave it open. If it's closed, then you make sure you close it. When I drove up, this one was open. But you'll notice this one has a sign that says, please close the gate. So somebody who came before me didn't do that. So we're going to make sure we go ahead and close it since there's a sign saying to do so. So never know what you're going to find on the trail in Utah. This appears to be an old rundown Jeep. No, I think it's a Samurai. It's an old vehicle of some sort. It's got a bunch of bullet holes in it. Right up there is one of the old mines on Barlow Canyon. Moving along. look like it today, but it looked bad in most spots. But this trail can be pretty deceiving as far as the conditions. I mean, it kind of just looks a little snowy, but in reality, this is really sloppy. I mean, there's a lot of loose mud, and you know, in days like this, you want to go slow. Just make sure you don't rut up the trail. You know, if I was sinking real bad or something, then you know, I probably wouldn't even do this trail today, because it's been pretty sloppy in sections. But by keeping the wheel speed down and just kind of crawling along, you can get through a lot of this. So the general grabbers are doing really good today. Hadn't lost traction, but a couple of times. But like I said, I mean, you just don't want to rut up a trail real bad, especially when it's muddy. You want to tread lightly, take care of the trail, because that's the kind of stuff that'll get it closed. So let's continue down the trail. So I got to a little stopping point on the trail. I'm giving Darby a break because she's been running her legs off today. But I just kind of wanted to share something I thought was funny with you guys. So I was watching a YouTube video of Utah, and I think it was a Pony Express video or something like that. And, you know, they were doing the Pony Express trail, and they got to a section where cattle had blocked the road. And so, you know, in the video, the guy gets out, you know, passenger gets out, and he's either the second vehicle or the passenger, I can't remember which one. But he gets out and he goes up, starts yelling at the cows, and they didn't move. He said they looked angry. It was kind of funny. But anyway, so then they start honking at the cows, and you know, the cows didn't move. Well, then I was reading through the comments, and I saw that you know, the one of the commenters said, hey, you shouldn't be honking at those cows. They're going to think it's feeding time, right? And, well, I'm from Texas, and I'm sure y'all probably could tell I'm not from Utah by my accent. But I'm from Texas. So, you know, when somebody said that, I understood exactly what they're talking about. You honk, cows come in, they think it's feed time, right? And one thing I was going to set straight, or just wanted to clarify for some of those people who may not know Utah that well, is Utah has a lot of open land. I mean, the heart of the population of the state is actually in the Salt Lake and Wasatch Valley, or the Wasatch Mountain Range, you know, however they call it. I'm not a local, so I may be saying that wrong, but you know, the Salt Lake Valley is pretty much the majority of the population of Utah, and everything else is a lot of federal land, state land, BLM, you know, things like that. And so what's really common here for cattle farmers or cattle ranchers is open range cattle. And so the reason I laughed at that video was because until you've actually been in Utah and you actually understand how this place is and how desolate a lot of the areas are, you don't understand why that would not be an issue here. You can honk at cows that are open range, and they will do nothing more than just stare at you, and sometimes they don't even look. Doesn't scare them. They don't care. They just look at you like you're dumb when you honk at them. So, you know, something I just thought I'd share with you guys. I thought it was funny, and it's unique to, you know, this part of the country. So, you know, if you're ever in Utah and you see cows in the middle of the road, you can honk at them, and they won't think it's feeding time. They also probably won't move. So let's get back to the trail. A good example of what I was talking about here, guys. There's a cow out in this field. The cow is not fenced in or anything like that, and as you can tell, cares less about the horn. So there you have it. Myth busted. So we're to a point where I'm not stuck, but it got pretty muddy, and I slid. These are my tracks right here, and so I drove off into there trying to get up to that right there, and it kept pushing me down, so I'm afraid I was gonna get stuck. So we're breaking out the traction boards. We're gonna get over that and use those to kind of bridge it. So see if it works. Stuff you'll see out here sometimes. Black Hawk helicopter. Okay, our first attempt did not work very well. It went right there, and you can tell where it just kind of slid down. So I'm not 100% sure I can get this because it's wanting to drag me down in that hole. As you can tell, my foot's even going there. So we may have to turn this around. I didn't want to do that because it looks pretty good on the other side, but this is a little spur road. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to get that. That's too soft. So, well guys, we got out of that okay. It was just a little spur road I was going to take, but I didn't want to force it. I felt like we were going to get stuck in there. Traction boards didn't work to bridge it. They just kept sliding down. So I gave it 2 shots, and then I was like, forge on. The other road is in pretty good condition, the main road. So, there's definitely been some muddy spots on 12 Mile Pass. But 12 Mile Pass is kind of that way. It's hit or miss. So on down the trail we go. So one thing I was talking about earlier, guys, was how we don't want to tear up the trails when it's muddy. And even though the trail is super sloppy today, 12 Mile Pass especially, because it's more dirt than mud, it's still passable without making huge ruts. The kind of mud that it is just the cakey mud. It doesn't really dig deep, but it just cakes over your tires. It's kind of that top surface. We got some snow and rain a few days ago, and it's just kind of still cakey is the best way that I can explain it. Now, the section I'm on right now is dry as everything, but there's sections of the road where it's cakey mud. So, what I've been doing is just staying out of the deep ruts because I don't want to, those are really soupy, and I don't want to make them any deeper. So I've kind of straddled them over, and by doing that, I'm able to get more traction even though I'm in the cakey, nasty, clumpy mud. But it's not really digging it any deeper. It's just staying on the surface, and it's not rutting the big ones real bad. So that's kind of the way that I'm going through this to make sure that I don't dig deeper in the trail. So I found some mud, it turns out. Alright guys, so this is exactly what I did not want. I got in on Broad Canyon Road. Broad Canyon's pretty easy normally. Unfortunately, it's about 37 degrees right now, and this thing just turned into a swamp. So as y'all will probably see on the footage, there's a lot of mud. Didn't get stuck. I mean, the General Grabber ATX is not a mud tire, it's an all-terrain, because normally I don't intend on driving into this kind of stuff. But even though it caked up real good, I kept going. And it got me out. I didn't even get stuck. I didn't have to use traction boards or anything. So, they're not mud tires, but they will get you out of a jam. So, we're going to work back down the canyon here and see if I can't get out of this mess that I got myself into. All right, guys. I got out of Broad Canyon there. I almost said Bell Canyon. It was Broad Canyon that we were in. Got out of Broad Canyon. We're back to dry ground. My truck is a mess. We're definitely going to have to get the pressure washer out tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, it just got bad, and it got bad quick, I can't really explain, how that happened so fast, other than just warm weather and snow. I mean, it's what happens, and so, it is it can sneak up on you quick. Key is don't overspin your wheels. Once I got in trouble, I kept it in 4 low and just kind of tractored along. And as long as, tractoring was working, I wasn't going to spin the tires real fast. For that very reason. I mean, it's you're going to dig yourself a hole, or you'll catch traction all of a sudden, and then your truck will just take off into a ditch or something because your wheels are turned, or that kind of thing. The other thing that helped is just sawing the wheel back and forth. When I was sinking in, I just started sawing the wheel to keep me kind of in the same direction, to keep me out of the ditch, because that's the one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to hold the same direction when you're sliding one way or the other, because you may end up in the ditch. And so if you can saw your wheel and go straight, sometimes that'll help you out. But we were able to kind of saw the wheel, get back into the center of the road, because I had kind of slid off onto the side of this V-shaped, not really even a ditch, it's just slop. And so I was able to kind of work my way back onto the road. Once I got back onto the road, I just backed it all the way down and turned it around. So back to 12 Mile Pass here in just a sec.